This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was getting frustrated by your forms. Now, Taxes is uploading your forms with a snap, and a TurboTax expert will do your taxes for you. One who's backed by the latest tech, which cross-checks millions of data points for absolute accuracy, all of which makes it easy for you to get the most money back, guaranteed. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
Acura's all-new ADX, a compact SUV that isn't just built for one thing. It's precision-crafted for everything. To escape the grind with available all-wheel drive. To go with your flow with available Google built-in.
Hey Google, turn it up.
Okay, turning up the volume. And crafted to be heard with an available Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. The all-new Acura ADX, crafted to match your energy. Acura, precision-crafted performance.
Take your vibes and go.
Google is a trademark of Google LLC.
So good, so good, so good.
Just in and so good. Thousands of spring finds up to 70% off are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. And that means thousands of fresh reasons to rack.
How did I not know Rack has Adidas?
Vince, Calvin Klein, Rag & Bone?
Obsessed. Why do we rock? For the hottest deals.
Save on Madewell, Kate Spade New York, Sam Edelman, Joe's, and more. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
If I just get 5 good years, I'll be really lucky, really happy.
Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Live Through That. I'm your host, Mike Hipple, and on this podcast, we'll dig a little deeper into a pivotal moment into the lives of some of my favorite artists from the 80s and 90s. This week, we're going to continue on with some more 80s deep diving with Pat McDonald from the band Timbuk3. The band is most well known for their 1986 hit, The Future's So Bright I Gotta Wear Shades, but they were far more prolific than just that one song. They released 6 albums in the decade between 1986 and 1995, and Pat went on to record numerous other albums and collaborated with artists as varied as Cher, Jackson Browne, and Stewart Copeland of The Police. Today, Pat talks about a diagnosis he received in 2016, as well as a benefit event he started back in 2005, both of which changed the direction of his life in different ways. And be sure to listen all the way through, because at the end of this episode, we showcase a new David Lynch-inspired version of The Future's So Bright I Gotta Wear Shades.
Well, it was a real bad one. It was lymphoma non-Hodgkin's, which is the stronger kind, the more aggressive one, and I was stage 4 by the time they had completely diagnosed it. So when they did this, I don't know, the scan, and I had to go in the hospital immediately, and basically, in a nutshell, it was 2 years of my time just for the treatments. And during that time, they said I was in remission a couple times, but it came back. So when it was finally like after the third series of treatments, which were extreme, they finally told me I was in admission. And basically what they said was, we're just going to do everything we can to get rid of the cancer. If it kills you, basically, if you live through this, you will have no cancer. So yeah, so that was it. It was it never came back. It was a miserable time, and during that time, I still tried to kind of maintain some semblance of my former self. As I brought in instruments and stuff, and at the time I was playing a lot of cigar box guitar, so that was easy. I don't know. Sometime probably during that same year, I was declared to be in remission, and then I was let out. My hair went away and came back like 3 times, Well, Well, the second time it came back, it was really great. It was cool. It was good hair the second time. And the third time was pretty good too. Yeah, it seems like my hair was better than before I'd had cancer. It was fresh, you know. Yeah, it was after the third time, after the third series of treatments, at the end of 2017, beginning of 2018. That's when I was sort of in this place near the hospital in case anything happened. And I was really sick from all the treatments at that point, which included radiation and everything else. And so at that during that time, I was thinking, man, if I get over this, if I'm in remission, and it looked like I was going to be, if I just get 5 good years, I'll be really lucky, really happy, you know. So basically, you know, I was still thinking, I wasn't believing that it was gone for good, you know. Like I really figured it'd come back sooner than now, you know. Like it's been what, 6 years? No, 7 years, almost 8 years. Man, it'll be. Yeah, I didn't dare hope for 10 good years. You know, it was too much to ask. I felt like at the time. You know, I went from not being able to hold a pick, you know, a guitar pick, and I was trying to play guitar. I thought I'd get back into standard tuning, and which I'd gone into more like different tunings over the years, mostly low tunings. I couldn't hold a pick, and I wanted to play standard tuning with a pick, and I tried that for a while, and I couldn't, so I kept dropping the pick. So I ended up getting back into finger picking, which was something I'd kind of pretty much quit aspiring to be a good finger picker sometime in the 70s, and I took that up again, basically because I couldn't hold a pick. My muscles were all ridiculous gone, you know. So I slowly kind of scratched my way back to being able to play functionally, sort of, and then throughout like 2018, it was kind of recovery time, and then at one point, I still couldn't play easily, and I didn't really enjoy it much. It wasn't good therapy for me at the time, playing again, because it was too much effort and it didn't feel good. It took me a good year to kind of recover. I still feel like I'm recovering from that ordeal, but it took a good year to kind of get back to even a semblance of, you know, my being a musician, you know. So during that time, actually made an album. I found an old guitar that my brother used to have, and it was an easy guitar to play, really surprisingly effortless to play that guitar. And I made an album, and then, but I really couldn't play live. I couldn't play the songs all the way through. It was still too challenging, but I was able to play them. I was able to record them bit by bit in my little studio called the Boom Closet. And yeah, so I finished that. I got that done in the fall of 2018. Didn't really do a lot of promotion or anything. For me, at this point, it's kind of I'm back to where I was when I was my pre-recording career, when I was just writing songs and doing it for its own sake. You really back then you really couldn't do much unless you got signed, you know. So I really thought I'd be a songwriter for other people, and coming back to that felt kind of good. It felt kind of freeing. I'm just a songwriter. I'm writing songs, making music. It's not going to be heard necessarily. You know, something I looked at a lot of it as something I would leave behind. You know, it was like every album I've made since then is like, oh, this could be the last one. You know, but at the same time, I want to live forever. So there's this contradiction, you know. I do want to live to do exactly what I'm doing, because I enjoy this life, and I don't really have any aspirations to go anywhere else.
That first year, he was having a really difficult time playing the guitar. This was something that had brought him so much joy before. And now all of a sudden it was proving to be something that was a challenge. I was curious how that felt for him and how he got through it.
Yeah, it wasn't easy to get back into kind of more elaborate guitar playing, but and it wasn't what I would call enjoyment, but it did seem to make the rest of my life better when I had that focus. And well, still I'm talking about the present as well, but it's more like determination, a project that you want to see it through to the end. And now I'm just enjoying play. We have a venue here in the motel. We have it's the Tambourine Lounge, and I'm perfectly happy playing there and really nowhere else right now. It's holds about 50 people maxed out, packed in. But if you have 25 people in there, it feels like a nice, comfortably full house, and it's a place where people just come and they purely come to listen and nothing else.
I should add here that the motel Pat is referring to is the Holiday Music Motel in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. Pat and some investors purchased the property in 2007, and it has become a hub for music and the arts in the area. The whole motel thing came about through a desire to save a steel bridge.
I was living in Barcelona at the time, and my sister is a historic preservation activist. She was on a big crusade at the time here in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. She was trying to save this bridge that was scheduled for demolition, and it's a bridge beautiful, brilliantly designed drawbridge, steel drawbridge that was right across the canal here, the shipping canal, right outside my window. Basically, you can see it. My sister, got these people together. Well, she was part of a group of people. I don't know if she actually did all the recruiting of the team or whatever, but anyway, she was an activist trying to save this bridge, and I was in Barcelona, kind of trying to help from afar, writing letters to the editor and whatever I could do. At that point, I was married to this woman from Sturgeon Bay, and she wanted to come back here to help her mom. She wanted us to come back here for a limited time to help her mom get over this problem. So we came back and lived with her mom for a little bit. And during that time, I became more involved in the bridge thing. But then when she and I broke up, I got really involved in the bridge thing. It was kind of like it was a metaphor for some kind of continuity and something strong and real and dependable, like that did not exist in my life at that time and in my relationship at the time. So I wrote a song called Steel Bridge Song, and it was kind of using the bridge as a metaphor for how I felt about love and everything, and how it was something that doesn't really go away. It just changes, So I used it as that metaphor.
A fire ahead, a fire behind, and cool, cool water running down below. A feeling so real, a bridge made of steel that I can cross over, whichever way I must go. Memories and anticipation, it's all a little fuzzy, it all goes by so fast. Memories.
But it also became a real kind of anthem about the bridge, the tangible thing itself, and we ended up having a concert and Jackson Browne had said he would love to come here to Sturgeon Bay. Jackson Browne, the songwriter, he's a friend of mine, and he came here to headline a concert that was going to be used to draw awareness for the bridge. So Jackson came here and played this show, and I got to play right before him, and I played the two songs I had written. One was called Steel Bridge Song, and the other was called Bridge Hater Song, because there were just this town was full of bridge haters. They, for some reason, they irrationally hated the bridge because it was old, because it went up and down when the boats came through, and they were late getting home for work or getting to work. You know, they were just annoyed by the bridge, this thing that was there to do nothing but make their lives better. Somehow they had it in their mind that it made their lives worse. But we ended up doing that concert, and it was a big success. And I actually enjoyed playing the two songs I'd written. It was the audience was fired up because we had every non-bridge hater in town standing there, and a few bridge haters probably who were there to see Jackson Browne. So it felt really charged. You know, it was like I hadn't felt like I was on a mission, like the songs were anthems for this mission that we were in. So I knew that experience was really something, really something strong. You know, I really enjoyed playing it because the songs got the people fired up, and they were fired up to begin with. But this was a moment, you know, and I wanted to make sure that we could do it more of that. And that next time we did it a year later, made it an annual thing. I invited all my songwriter friends and told them, you know, you're going to enjoy writing songs about this bridge and playing them for this audience because they really love the bridge, and you can be a part of saving this bridge from demolition. We did a spin the bottle every day for new song collaborators. Yeah, so the bottle spin would randomly pair three people who most of them probably didn't know each other, you know, and played all different kinds of music. But the three of them, the one thing they had to do was write a song either inspired by our bridge here or inspired by their own experiences and use the bridge as a metaphor or whatever. There was up to 72 people. We had a motel. Well, the first time we didn't own the motel, we rented the motel. But then at some point during that event, one of the songwriters came up to me and said, hey, we should buy a motel and do this year round, because people were really loving the whole thing. And so we ended up buying the motel. And a year later, we did the same event. It was called the Construction Zone, our event for the songwriting event. And so now we owned the motel. We rallied a bunch of investors, you know, different people, like Jackson Browne himself helped us by being an investor, and everyone wanted to be part of it because, especially Jackson Browne fans, and we have a lot of people my age and younger to whom Jackson Browne is a kind of icon, songwriting icon. So yeah, it became a thing, an annual thing, and we wanted, owning the motel, we told people we're going to do more annual events. Kind of slowly, we introduced Dark Songs, which began as the Edgar Allan Polka Fest, which first happened on the 200th birthday of Edgar Allan Poe, and that became an annual event. But then we put it on toward Halloween and made it part of that, and people came to just write dark songs, and you know, spooky and macabre and mostly funny. A lot of serious, scary shit, but then also really funny, irreverent, dark songs. And that became an annual event too. And then the third event we started was around Valentine's Day, and we called it Love on Holiday, to kind of go with the holiday music motel. And it's kind of a double meaning of on holiday, love on holiday, like songs of love and love gone away. So yeah, that became our 3 annual events for many, many years, and each event usually produced a double CD disc of songs by the end of the week. And we'd perform the songs at the end of the week at a local theater and put on a big show of all new songs. It was kind of a magic trick, because people couldn't believe the quality of these songs, and that they didn't exist a week before. You know, the people became really good at doing that. And also part of it was recording the songs. So we had recording studios in here in the building. And eventually we bought the building next door, and we have a bunch of studios in there too. But we've added art studios and practice studios, production studios for music.
I do want to go back a little further before we end the episode, back to when Timbuk3 first started out and how that journey began.
I had a really bad winter in '83, and I swore that I would never spend another winter in the north. And so during '84, we were looking for a place to move down south, either Austin or New Orleans it was going to be. So we kind of started this Timbuk3 thing as more of like a busking concept, where I would play my acoustic guitar, she would play violin, and Barbara would play violin, and I would program and play these rhythm tracks on a 4-track with a drum machine, a borrowed bass guitar, and borrowed drum machine, borrowed bass guitar, borrowed 4-track cassette recorder. Made these rhythm tracks for all the songs that we had played, a bunch of them that we'd played with our previous band. And then I added some blank ones, rhythm tracks that I intended to write songs for or two. And then then basically we had this busking rig. Got the biggest boombox we could find in the area, and we went out to New York City to busk first. Initially, we went various street corners, and at one place, somebody told us there was an open mic at CBGB's that night, and said we should come and play. So we went. One of our first gigs was at CBGB's, and we sucked. We were horrible. We couldn't adapt our busking rig to the indoor venue, so it was almost a disaster. But people were kind and everything, and I ended up playing there a few years later with a touring bus out front. We were, by that time, it was like seemed like a very short time we went from A to B. Sometime in there, as winter was approaching, we moved down to Austin and tried playing on the street down there. And first time we decided that's enough, because people were requesting Jerry Jeff Walker and different kind of outlaw country music and stuff like that. It was, we were playing all originals and didn't feel like being accosted by people with requests for popular tunes. So we ended up getting a gig at the bar we were standing in front of when we were busking. And from that point on, we were basically busking inside bars, because places we were playing were kind of pass the hat places, and that's how you make your money. And we ended up, going through various things, playing in Austin. And finally, we played this place down the street called the Texas Roadhouse on 6th Street in Austin. And Carlos Grasso, who was the creative director for IRS Records at the time, came to the show, and he wanted to sign us on the spot. They were actually scouting for bands to play the Cutting Edge show that they were going to do live from Austin that time, that year. And so all the bands were scrambling to get on that show. And anyway, Carlos went and grabbed the president of the record company and had him come hear our second set. Jay Boberg from IRS Records came and heard us, and basically Carlos said, "I'm going to get them to sign you. I know I can get you signed to this label if you want to be on IRS." And we were like, "There's no label we'd rather be on than IRS Records." At that time, it was the place that was coveted, among indie labels. And so Jay Boberg, the president of the record label, was helping us carry our amps to the van by the end of the night. And we had a really good run at IRS Records. We got a deal signed for like 5 albums. But that was Austin. We were in Austin all during that time. And it was great, because there were times in Austin when people were really prejudiced against the boombox. A lot of people thought it was kind of an impurity. we ended up being on the Cutting Edge show, and the national reaction to our performance with the boombox and everything, because we actually played. We weren't just singing to a boom. It wasn't karaoke, we played guitars, and Barbara played a pretty decent guitar, and she played violin and stuff like that. And, there was a lot going on outside the boombox. But anyway, we became really, suddenly everybody loved us in Austin. Before that, it came to a point, before we got signed or anything, it came to a point where I remember saying to Barbara, after a failed audition at one of the bars we wanted to play at, I said, right afterwards, I was like, let's get out of this fucking place, out of this fucking town, is what I said, and she was like, oh, this happens, it's cool. We'll be, all right. And she was the greatest partner in the world. She really believed in us. And so, yeah, we survived that audition. That's what this whole conversation is going to come down to. We survived that one night when we couldn't get a gig at a bar on 6th Street that we really wanted to play at. It would have been a step up, for our career, right? And it was a few months later we actually got a record deal. It's kind of rags to riches.
We recorded this interview back around the time of director David Lynch's death. Pat had reworked a version of The Future So Bright, incorporating David Lynch repeating some of the song's lyrics. Pat has given us the privilege of including it in this episode, and I'm pleased to present it for you now.
I'm wearing dark glasses today because I'm seeing the future, and it's looking very bright.
I study nuclear science. I love my classes. I got a crazy teacher, he wears dark glasses. Things are going great, and they're only getting better. I'm doing all right, getting good grades. The future's so bright. I got a job waiting for my graduation. 50,000 a year won't buy a lot of beer, but things are going great, and they're only getting better. I'm doing all right, getting good grades. The future's so bright. I gotta wear shades, gotta wear shades.
I'm wearing dark glasses today because I'm seeing the future, and it's looking very bright. I'm wearing dark glasses today because I'm seeing the future, and it's looking very bright.
I'm heavenly blessed, worldly wise. I'm a peeping Tom techie with X-ray eyes. They're only getting better. I'm doing all right, getting good grades. The future's so bright. The future's so bright. I gotta wear shades.
Thank you so much to Pat for taking the time to chat with us. If you want to listen to some of the songs created at the Steel Bridge events, you can hear those at steelbridgeradio.com. I'll include links to that as well as the hotel and Pat's website in the show notes. And a quick reminder that you can buy my book on 80s musicians and where they are today, 80s Redux, and its sequel, Live Through That, on 90s artists wherever you buy your books. And if you like this show, please leave a review where you're listening. It always helps others find us. And of course, please subscribe so that you won't miss an episode. Thanks for listening.